I know that a lot of you people at home want to reach for your remote when you feel like Hollywood is preaching to you.
Nerderotic.com.
You can't say we didn't try to warn you, Hollywood. Right about now would be a good time to hit the panic button. Now, we've tried to warn you before and you didn't listen, but this is your first wake-up call of many. The Oscar ratings finally came in, and officially, as predicted, they are abysmal. How abysmal? How about worst ratings of all time? Oscar ratings crashed to all-time low. Viewership falls under 10 million for the first time ever. And there's a lot of people pissing their britches right now in Tinseltown. For good reason. Now, Hollywood has been doing this for a long time, but particularly in the last 4 years, we've had a lot of people wearing $250,000 dresses or suits and $100,000 necklaces telling us how to live our lives while they are in the safety of their very comfortable $6 to $20 million mansions surrounded by gates with armed bodyguards. From Deadline, last night's 93rd Academy Awards saw Netflix walk away with the most hardware overall that nobody watched, but the Disney empire took the biggest prizes with Best Picture and Best Animated Film wins that nobody watched. Those Nomadland and Soul trophies better shine pretty bright because for ABC, which is owned by Disney, Sunday's Oscars were an expected ratings washout. In delayed fast national results just released by Nielsen 15 minutes ago, the 93rd Academy Awards were watched by a mere 9.85 million people, with a dismal rating of 1.9 amongst the 18 to 49 demographic. What's a 1.9? Well, the 1.9 is a percentage of the entire demographic. So the entire 18 to 49 demographic in the U.S. is 132 million people. 1.9% of that is 2,508,000. Meaning only 20% of the Oscars' abysmal viewership was in that key 18 to 49 demo, the people who actually buy things. This is an all-time low for Hollywood's biggest night by a huge margin. In fact, it is a drop of over 58% in terms of audience from what the previous low of the 2020 Oscars snared on February 9th of last year. In terms of the key demo, the 2021 Oscars is down a crushing 64.2% in the earlier ratings from the 2020 Oscars. But don't worry, the Disney spin will come. The Best Picture came from Disney. The Best Animated Picture came from Disney. It was on a Disney network, and it was also streamed on Hulu and ABC.com. Regina King didn't waste any time in her opening monologue turning off the audience.
I have to be honest, if things had gone differently this past week in Minneapolis, I might have traded in my heels for marching boots.
And your $10,000 dress that featured 62,000 sequins and 4,000 crystals and took 140 hours to make?
I know that a lot of you people at home want to reach for your remote when you feel like Hollywood is preaching to you.
You had one job, Hollywood, and again, we tried to warn you. You are in the business of entertaining us. Escapism. You are a luxury that we need to be comfortable enough to have some discretionary income or disposable income to spend on your product. When your product is being used as a political platform, it tends to turn off half the country. Hence, you lost over 50% of your audience. I don't think that is an accident. I don't think it's a coincidence. Currently, I am reviewing the awful and woke Falcon and Winter Soldier, and that is just the latest thing that you have bored us to death with. And that will be my next video. Now, back in January, I said this would be the year of the fan and fan service, and we're starting to see some evidence of that, along with Hollywood paying consequences for their actions. The Snyder Cut was a success. Godzilla vs. King Kong was a success. Mortal Kombat isn't doing that bad. And what came just behind it, a movie most of us haven't heard of. Demon Slayer, anime, and manga are killing it right now because they are escapism and they're not filled with a bunch of identity politics. And while I think it's way too late, some in Hollywood are starting to wake up to this and call it out now that it's safe.
We all had a rough year. A little escapism would have been appreciated. What happened to show business? Did they all decide to quit cocaine at the same time? Virtue signaling. has already ruined most of the internet, the publishing industry, the New York Times, and most of the colleges where football isn't a priority. Please, at least leave us the movies. Because, in all honesty, I gotta ask, if your movie is so woke, how come I'm falling asleep?
I know we've heard these talking points before somewhere. Oh yeah, right here on this channel and on many others on this platform. And Bill Maher is not wrong while still being a complete elitist twat and part of the problem.
My voice is in my sword. We know the sword is our work.
Lighten up, Francis.
Some adult pretenders have a very hard time finding meaning in what they do for a living, and that's why a lot of them turn to activism, and that's what gives us pretentious statements like that. No, Francis, your voice goes to the highest bidder. Your voice is used to read and interpret lines written by other people and approved by a giant multinational billion-dollar corporation. So maybe today is the day Hollywood starts to comprehend how much trouble they're really in. The Oscars ratings collapse is just the latest award show failure, which should be a giant blinking neon sign of the danger to come. Yet they want to spin stuff in a positive direction, and they're going to spin themselves right into oblivion. And things are only going to get worse unless you start listening to what's left of your shrinking audience right now. I have the great honor of talking to my fellow members of the audience, my fellow paying customers, my fellow members of fandoms in live streams almost every day. And what I hear almost every day is, I'm out. I'm tired of being the bad guy. I'm tired of hearing I live in a crappy country. That's always been crappy. I'm tired of hearing it from millionaires who work for billion-dollar corporations. I'm tired of seeing my favorite things like Lord of the Rings, Doctor Who, Star Wars, Star Trek, Marvel Comics, DC Comics usurped by identitarians and political activists. This was a huge win today for the audience, for the fans, for the paying customer, and all you had to do was nothing. It's really that easy, and Hollywood is either going to change or they're not. It's a great opportunity for independent artists everywhere to fill the void in entertainment that Hollywood has left behind. They are going to have a very rough year, and they're not going to get a lot of sympathy out of me. If you like what you heard, please like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't like what you heard, I thank you for listening this long. I will see you in the next video.
Nerderotic.com. Please subscribe.